Well, hello and good evening. I'm hoping you can hear me over the music there. This is the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. And as soon as I can remove this image from the screen, you'll see them in their full glory. And let me bring them onto the screen one at a time. In Devon, in the UK, it's Penny Albertella. Okay. In Alvazara, in Central Portugal, the Austins.
Yay!
And I think we've
Bloody
got...
drunks.
That was a fantastic start. And somewhere, I think, possibly missing in the Algarve, MIA, we've got Frank and Rachel who will be joining us presently. And so many people are already joining us and watching. Give us a shout wherever you are. There's space on the screen for you as well. Hi, Capricorn Chris. Hi, Matty. Hi, Andy, of course. Stephen Wells, too. Good evening, all gentlemen so far. And I think we might have Steve and Tammy as well, who may join us on screen, who've been making their own ginger over there in the United States. We'd love to have a little break from the normal programming here this evening to see how you did that, guys. But over to the Austin household now. What's going on this evening, Gary Austin?
Well, we've coming back with a nice little get-together with the family on the first occasion with the return of the wine, which is good. And hopefully a few friends will drop in. We have a few spare windows possibly. If you put the link out, maybe people can join us. How's about that?
Good idea. Okay, yes, I should have thought of that. Thank you very much for that. we have got a bit of catching up to do. This does seem a little bit somber so far, because we will be, I guess, getting a spring in our step as the evening goes on. That's what used to happen. And it's been a while, hasn't it? It's been over a year now since we drank our 50th wine in the last and first season. Season 2 now, wine number 1. Penny, how have you been in this last year?
Has it been a year, really? Oh, my God.
It has been a year.
I've been absolutely fine, just chugging on as normal. Chugging, literally.
Yes, okay, very good.
Chugging or glugging?
How is your weather in the UK at the moment? I understand it's quite sticky and hot in Devon, in the southwest.
It's not as hot as it was, which is a shame. Everybody was, I don't get it. The Brits pay thousands of pounds to chase the 40-degree weather. And when it arrives on their own shores, they bloody moan about it. I mean, what the hell's that all about?
Oh, they're British.
I loved it. It's not quite as hot now, though. It's a bit muggy, but lovely still.
Fantastic. And so glad to see you've got your 80s video fan going as well. It's like a Berlin video, isn't it, from the 1980s? A nice touch this evening. It's so good to see you again. Thank you for being with us. What have you got? I don't think you've been able to get the exact wine from the Dow region, but it's something that approximates, right?
I've got this one. It's from the same region.
Okay.
I suspect it will taste pretty similar.
Yep. Okay. It will taste red for sure. And so with the actual wine in question tonight, this Cat's Paw wine. Actually, no, before we go to you, Gary, and the educational part of the show, before we let's see how Linda's doing, a stalwart of the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club as well. How you been, Linda, in this last year since we last saw you on the screen?
Fine, thank you. Yeah, enjoying the relaxing sunshine.
And what did you think when Gary said we're going to get a red from the Dow for our first tasting? What was your first reaction?
Gary doesn't normally like wines from the Dow. That's my reaction.
It's a somewhat strange choice. Okay, all right. So it will be a little bit different tonight. I think outside the box, not the wine box, outside the usual box of choice and taste for Garbo tonight. And of course, look, Terence on the screen, who did a wonderful live painting demonstration a few weeks ago on the morning show. Great to see you, Terence. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Carl. How are you?
I'm very well, very good. Good to see you on here with Ginny as well. Good evening to you, Ginny.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Can't complain. A little bit warm.
And it is a bit. And so, yes, what are your temperatures been like in central Portugal?
Hot.
Gotcha.
We had a couple of days ago we broke the 50 again on
and that's hot.
So there's nothing like a nice full-bodied red to celebrate at the end of a hot
Warm
day.
you up a bit, yeah.
I was going to say,
Just what you need.
talking of full bodies and Central Portugal, Pete and Diane as well. Excellent. Hello. Coming onto the screen. And look, from the Algarve. Very nice of you to join us. Great job. Oh, fantastic. Pete and Diane, are you sticking with us? And taking
Yeah,
a while?
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Good
do
to
you have to
see
change the sound on that?
you seem to be in a swimming pool.
Indeed, we are. I have to.
The sound is
Absolutely.
very good, isn't it, as well? Fantastic.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, that sounds really good there. Thanks for joining us, Pete and Diane. And Rachel and Frank, good evening to you both. You may remember these two from the wine club from over a year ago. Where you been? It's lovely to see you again. What have you been up to this last year?
Not much. We've moved a few
I was
times.
going to say a lot.
Okay, not really.
No, I was not going to say a lot because then Carl Munson would say, "Oh, a lot is it? What happens since we left Coimbra? We're not going to go there." Oh, a lot is it?
Let's not.
What happens since we left Coimbra? We're not going to go there.
Output, Matthew. Okay, I'm going to mute him for a minute. I think it's him causing the feedback there. So to you, Gary, then, for the educational part of this evening and bringing us up to speed with this Cat's Paw Red from the Down region of Portugal. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I will put some of your comments up on the screen in due course.
Okay, let's kick off. Right, as Linda said, I'm not normally a Dow wine fan. I find them a bit lightweight and a bit sort of indistinct. So I came across this chap on the shelf, which I've passed many times. I noticed the label with the paw on it, and just thought, well, okay, I'll give Dow another chance. And I actually quite like this one, to be honest. But it's got a couple of nice little bits to its story as well. I'm sorry I have to put my glasses on to remind me of where I'm going with this. So, yeah, we got Pedra de Gato, which is from the Dow region. It's a Tinto, a red. I think most of us have got 2019s by the sound of it. It is from a vineyard called Casa da Passarella, which sits just in the shadow of the Serra Estrella, which is, does that translate the Mountain of Stars?
Yeah, Estrella Stars.
Which is very nice. And that kind of sets the tone really for this wine, because the story of it's got a little bit of romance and a little bit of fantasy going on with it. But before we go into that, let's do the technical bit. Excuse me. Right. So we've got a red, and the soil it grows in up there is usually sandy granite. It gets a lot of water in the winter and a lot of sun in the summer, obviously. The grape varieties. Now here comes the pronunciation. Good old Tinto Alpha Shara Preto, and I think this is pronounced Jane, yeah, and good old Touriga National. Apart from that one there, the JN, I've seen the rest before. We know in the past we've had those wines. When we finally do get to taste it, which will be soon, because I'm not going to go on for too long, we should be tasting vanilla, maybe oak, cedar, smoke, violets, black cherry, dark fruits, pepper, and a little touch of licorice. Right, let's talk about briefly the vineyard itself. They've been making wine for over 130 years, which is a fair old stint, really. They have 7 vineyards and 20 indigenous varieties of grapes. And I think this is a beautiful website. It's got a lot of little layers going on and stories and that sort of thing. Let's talk about one of those stories. I think in that first link that I sent you, Carl, this will be number 1.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll find that for you. All right, let me just share that next. Sorry, I can't have all these lined up like a slick.
That's all right. I can cover that while you're queuing that up. Right, we're
Yeah,
going to deal with a couple
cover
of characters here in the story. Heelish and Andre, 2 totally different people, right? Heelish is the romanticist, the fantasist, lives with his head in the clouds and a book in his hand. Well, Andre is the grafter, so we call it, literally grafter as well, because that's what he learned how to do. And I don't know whether that's going to load what you've got there. But the story is, anyway, if you can't get that, Heelish was due to receive an award, which was the Nobel Prize for Wine. but for some reason or other, he couldn't actually turn up. So he sent Andre to go and do the speech for him.
Mate, is this video the story? Because I can put the sound up on this now. I think I've got
now there's some text there somewhere which tells this story, but I can cover it. I was going to get you to read it because it's quite a good story.
Is this the one?
That might be the one. Do you want to read that? Because I can't actually see it from where I am.
Is this the mystery of the box found inside?
No, sorry, that's the other one. Then you need to go for the other one.
All right. It is a sexy website for sure, isn't it?
It is beautiful, isn't it? It's very...
The award ceremony of the Nobel Prize in Enology to Hellis. Is that the one?
That's the one. You in your best narrator's voice, read that one because it's a nice little story.
I'll do the Portuguese. At the award ceremony of the Nobel Prize in Enology. I can't keep that up for the whole of this. At the awarding ceremony of the Nobel Prize in Enology. Now, we didn't know there was such a thing, did we?
No, I didn't.
It was some Andre Huppert who appeared before the microphone and the disbelief of millions. His speech started and ended like this. Majesties, ladies and gentlemen, wine world, first and foremost, I'd like to confess that it is a privilege to stand here in turn of my brother Hellis, a righteous man, methodical and very bright, who gave his life to causes as noble as the wine against the astringency of the life he had. I don't really understand what that means. Quite the opposite of me, we're twins, but the one thing I always hated about him was his extreme good sense, something that ultimately affects the best qualities of a wine and of a life. It was I, for example, who gave him the old vines idea in the grace of the year 1935. It was I who offered him his first manual of critical enology, his first compendium of courage towards life, the first push for him to become, as he is today, infinite. So without me, what would it be of him? Nothing, my friends. An angel by himself is incapable of neither the reality of a perfect wine nor of signing his own work. So it is I, Andre Huppert, literal vagabond, arsonist of the hours dead and boring, and not my brother Hellis, who receives this award. Enology is also a demonic science, and I bring fire to thank you. He sounds like quite a character, doesn't he? Okay, so this
really
is
the show there, didn't he?
But who knew that there was a Nobel Prize for enology?
I didn't. I must admit. But yeah, from that, you drawn a picture of the two characters, chalk and cheese, really. You got the artisan, and you've got the knuckle down grafter who does the actual work. And they also did a technique where they use mirrors to stop the I've forgotten what the bugs are called that attack the wine. So instead of going for the plants, they saw themselves in the mirror and attacked the mirror and basically killed themselves, which was kind of a good idea, really. And he also was very good at grafting disease-resistant strains of the vine. So that was quite an interesting story. But the one I like is the next one. And if you want to put that next one up that you had before the discovery, this okay. You'll love this, Carl.
Oh, the mystery in of the box found inside. Is that right?
Again, you can read that one if you want to, but I'll put a footnote.
But it's not the right one. Okay, all right. Is that not the right one?
That's the one with the box. Discovery. Okay. Was it Discovery?
All
yeah,
right.
Go with that one.
Let's go for that. So, a descoberta, the mystery of the box found inside one of the walls of Casa da Passarella is finally solved. The story begins in 1942 when a box is walled in one of the rooms of Casa da Passarella by its former owners, containing a document written in cursive with instructions to be opened 50 years later. In the document, signed by a set of emblematic characters of the time, there was also a last wish that all the values kept in the box be distributed among the poor. What is certain is that neither of these things happened. Only in 2010, when the house underwent construction work, was the box found and opened. And nothing in there. The investigations were progressing without ever having unraveled the mystery. When it seemed that resignation ended up overcoming persistence, a specialist in unusual events was called to the place. The box was indeed full. It seemed that resignation ended up overcoming persistence. A specialist in unusual events was called to the place, and the box was indeed full, explained Professor K. Noronha, but not of tangible material things. The box was impregnated with an extraordinary essence that, reacting to the times to come, would bring happiness through wine to all those who profit from it. Now those times to come are already part of the present, and this is a double discovery, he concluded. Garvo, what does that mean?
that means, right, and it took me time to figure this out as well, he didn't leave them tangible goods. He gave them the essence of great winemaking. So when the box was opened, it was released again, so it might all start again.
Very
Which
good.
I think
Okay.
is a lovely little touch. And, you know, because you make good wine,
yes,
you make good wine, you make good profits, you make, you know, people happy, you make poor people richer, which I think is a really nice touch. I think that's a good little story to go in there.
Yes, thank you for that. And the bugs, in case you need to know the name of those bugs.
That's the one I'm after. I can never pronounce it anyway.
Another one of our pals from the old wine club. Lisa, thank you for being here this evening. And you've got something quite close yourself, the Gato Dão. Thank you for your bringing your knowledge of wine to us this evening. And it's great to see you again. Tom Smith also here, just quickly. So, Garvo, is this the point where we drink a little bit, or is there more backstory to share?
We're going to test that theory now, great winemaking, aren't we? What the ideal point is to try the wine now. So, I'm going to ask my beautiful assistant over here. Put the wine into the carafe there and make a splash, and let's get some air in it. It should be just about the right temperature now.
So everyone's pouring, are they?
Yeah, get in there, folks.
Good evening, Matty. Good to see you, mate. And I think everybody has the right wine on the screen. Who's in Portugal, possibly, right? So Matty's got the cat's paw. Rachel and Frank, you got the cat's paw? Got this the right one? Perfect. Yeah. Pete and Diane, got the right one? Okay, excellent. Nice thumbs up there from Central Portugal as well. So we can all... Oh, and where are the cheeses? Alyssa, another one of our old buddies from the wine club as well. Good evening to you, Alyssa. Great to see you. Do
you want to voice up some?
Yeah, okay.
Pass the glasses over.
Oh, it'd be good if you came in.
Shuttle them through.
Okay.
Matty, straight in there, no sniffing, straight down the hatch.
You missed it, Agavo. You were busy with your class.
Alyssa, I do have my prosciutto and cheese ready. Not a use.
Right, let's have a smell. See what people are picking up. Straight away, I can smell wood, vanilla.
Smoke, yeah.
Red fruits.
Red fruits. Yeah, jump in there, people. Tell them what you can hear, what you can smell.
Pete and Diane, what you got there? Probably top notes of chlorine, I suspect.
It's fruity, bit smoky. I don't know.
Smoky
Yeah, that could be it.
Rachel, Frank?
Quite a bit of oak.
It's quite strong, I think.
And yeah,
Colour.
red fruit.
They classify that deep ruby colour.
Yeah, I can't.
So the important bit, I know Matty's already got in there straight away, but let's join him in your good health.
Cheers, Garbo. Good find.
It's got some legs. Not that many.
What I noticed about this Garvo straight away, you know that the Garvo instructions to have a cheeky little taste as soon as you've opened the bottle.
Yeah.
You know, give it a sniff and a tiny little taster. It was a really nice relief not to have a real blast of alcohol and really strong. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
There was, when I opened the bottle, there wasn't a real blast of. I think it's Touriga Nacional probably that gets really full-bodied in the bottle and almost gassy. And this is subtle, isn't it? And I don't know if I remember this correctly, that Dão wines are subtle like this, possibly insignificant. Is that the thing here? Is that what you don't like about the Dãos? Is that they do sort of pale into insignificance? They're not very full-bodied like a lot of Portuguese wines.
Well, I'm one of these people who likes a good, sexy, deep-tasting, vibrant wine. You know, one that tastes like summer to me.
Yeah.
Dão is a little bit delicate sometimes and a little bit indistinct to me, but this has got a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think if we had a full-bodied like Cabernet Sauvignon or something tonight, we'd be probably not enjoying it. But this is drinkable on its own. It's nice with food.
Yeah.
And it's a good Dão. I like it. I can't really say more than that.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm after a year of not drinking wine, I'm glad of a gentle Dão wine rather than some full-bodied Touriga Nacional thing that's blasting my socks off. I like it, and it's not aggressive at all. It hasn't been since it opened and that first taste, and it's nice and subtle. And I wasn't sure what it was about the Dãos. So Matty, do you have any further insight or contributions about this tasting tonight? And are you sat in front of a candle there?
No, I have removed the lights in this room, and this is just to get me some light. Otherwise,
no expense spared.
You wouldn't see me at all. No, I have everything I tasted has already been mentioned, and so I have nothing additional.
Oh, okay. That's a bit of a conversation killer. Let's go to the Algarve then. Rachel and Frank, what are you thinking of this Dão Red?
I really like it. I had heard about this Jane grape before, and I had never tried it because what I heard is that either you love it or you hate it, and I was a little bit unsure. So I wonder what is the percentage of the grape. It doesn't. I looked at the bottle, doesn't say, but I like it.
Do you know the spec on this Garvo? And can you pass me your glasses? Because I can't read what it says on the bottle. Now I remember the wine club.
I'll put my glasses down myself now.
Let's go to Pete and Diane. You enjoying it? Is this a nice accompaniment to being in the pool there?
It's nice, yeah, definitely. It's really nice. I know the comments are saying, "Oh, yeah, you should drink a white, and it should be chilled and with the heat that we've got and everything." But I think it's a lovely afternoon drink, and for us, it's kind of not far away. We can see the Estrella. I don't know if I can.
Oh, how lovely!
Of course,
So
it's just not far from him. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Mrs. M's here. She smelt the wine.
There was talk of sexy wine.
Don't drop the laptop in the pool.
Gary likes a sexy red, not unlike yourself. So please. So Pete and Diane, that's amazing. You've got the wine from pretty close to where you are, or the other side of the Serra d'Estrella, maybe. You've muted Pete.
It's good, but it's not as good as Joe's homemade wine. That's fantastic, but it's still a really good wine. I really like it. I'll have to admit, I think it's a great one to start off with. Good choice, Gary. Definitely, it's a really nice one to do.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. What about you, Diane?
Oh, that's lovely and smooth. I'm enjoying this one.
Yes, that's an interesting word to use. Do you find that sometimes the Portuguese reds can be a touch harsh?
Not on the whole, no. I found quite a lot of the reds that I like, but this one is really nice.
Do you know, we really didn't like red wine in England,
No,
but
I didn't.
in Portugal, they've got so many really good grape wines.
No, this is nice. It's very drinkable.
That is interesting. I think, you can get converted, can't you, by some of these cultural twists over here in Portugal. So I think Gary's been through that. Gary got onto the rosé since being in Portugal. You've discovered more reds than you used to like in the UK. So well done, Portugal. Penny Albertella. Not exactly this one, but this one here on the screen now. Aduru. It's a bit further north then, and the Azinhaga de Ouro Reserva 2020. There are the sleeve notes on the back there. Penny, what's it like?
That was the idea.
Right, like you, I'm not keen on a really big, huge red. And particularly not this time of the year as well. But this one, again, I was really pleasantly surprised. It's actually really light. It's really smooth. Got a lot of flavour, though, a lot of body, if that's not contradictory. But I'm really enjoying it. It's nice.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Penny, for being here this evening. Are you noticing that more Portuguese wines are available in the UK or less?
In the better wine shops, less. But in Lidl, we get quite a lot in Lidl, so it's bizarre.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm hesitating to say it, but maybe a Brexit effect. I don't know. Maybe could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
My local wine shop sells loads and loads of Spanish and French, and I keep trying to get him to get more Portuguese. He does have some in, but it's always very expensive. It's the upper end of the market.
Not a Brexit effect then. Okay, my bad on that. Back to the Austin household. Linda, we love your scoring, and we will come to some scoring in a moment. I think out of 5 for everybody this evening. Not for us, but for the wine itself. Linda, what are your impressions?
I like this one.
Yeah.
I like the smell of it. It's got quite a strong vanilla smell.
Oh, God.
Plus blackcurrants, I think. And when you taste it,
That's strong.
The big puff.
That vanilla flavour carries on. So I'm still
Sorry,
left with that
Linda.
flavour. Nice.
Very good. You're enjoying it. I overheard the Garvo and Terence giving each other a bit of a dig about this. The microphone's really close to you. What's going on there at the end of the table? Or the back
I
of
just
the
gave him
glass?
some blue. I just gave him some blue cheese,
Yes.
and he was stuck on it. So
It's very
Okay.
strong.
Okay, Terence, please, over to you
Yes.
then. Your impressions, please, dear boy, of this this Dão Red.
Well, I've got to be honest with you. I did try some midweek because I like drinking. When I first opened it and I tasted it too early. I think this needs to stand a little. And it was a bit sort of, you could get the tannins and all of that coming through. So I was kind of sort of semi-dismissing it a little bit, thinking I may put this into, put this as a bit of a bench warmer, really. But as it kind of, say after about 20 minutes, I noticed that as we ate things, it turned into a really Cinderella wine, really. It was really smashing. It became great with, food, red meats, cheeses, etc., like we have now, except for that rather strong Swiss stuff, which I wouldn't.
No, that's
Is it?
goat's cheese.
It's goat's cheese. Right, sorry. Apologies to the Swiss. It's actually a wine that really grows on you, and is really, I suppose if I was going to kind of like say, well, what was this wine if I imagined it as a dessert? So I would imagine it as a Black Forest Gato, because it's got all sorts of fruitiness, sweet but bitter flavors too, at different levels, and I thought it was a bit of a surprise for me. I think as we drink it, as the night goes on, it'll get better, and that's nothing to do with the ratio of alcohol you consume. Are you sure?
No, I like the idea of a Cinderella wine. Is that what it's all gone by midnight? Is that what you mean, or?
Yeah. It's
not what you meant, is it?
Do you know how long it took me to think that up? Cinderella wine.
Lovely.
No, we'll take that. That's as discovered here, as conceptualized by the great Terence Austin on the. I'm slurring already. This is quite a good sign. In case you're just joining us, and this is what you've been waiting for, it's kicking in, everybody. So yes, season 2, wine 1. We are looking at. Let me just put it on the screen for you. This evening, the cat's paw, we're calling it. Casa da Passarella. You heard some of the story earlier on. If you've only just joined us, the backstory is there. Thanks to Gato Austin, who's chosen and led the tasting tonight. Pedro de Gato from Casa da Passarella, and over in the UK, the closest that Penny could get was a Douro Red. This one as well, tasting, and we'll be scoring in a little while. So, folks, it's been a year. What's your viticulture, enological journey? Where has it taken you since we've last spoken? Let's start in the Austin household with that.
Can you repeat the question? Because
you weren't listening, were you?
I wasn't really listening. Sorry.
None taken, Terence. None taken. Okay. It's been a year. We got up to 50 wines, and we've had a year off, and now we're starting again. Season 2, wine 1. Where have you been on your drinking journey? What have you discovered about the booze of Portugal in that year?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I don't know about gin, but this is the first time we've been on the show for the wine. So this is our sort of first stab at it, really.
Yeah.
So
we've been having secret stabs without being on the show.
Yeah, we've tuned into a few and watched from afar, But
now I mean bottles of wine.
Yeah. All right. What kind of journey have we been on?
Can I interrupt there? Because you've been here the longest of everybody, I suspect, in Portugal. So what have you learned about Portuguese wine or more generally Portuguese booze in the time that you've been here? How long? 15 years or longer?
15 years, yeah.
15 years, yeah. What was your original impression of Portuguese booze, and what have you learned on that journey?
Wow.
Original impression, very impressed from the get-go with Portuguese wine. Whether it was white wine, red wine, and when we first arrived here, I think wine was cheaper than water. So it was a lot easier to drink as well.
Not good when you got a swimming pool.
We found some incredible wines.
We've found some incredible wines at very, very, very low cost, haven't we? And then some incredible ones at good cost as well. But you can't go wrong with a good, decent Portuguese wine. You know, even if it was like pinning the donkey's tail, even if you sort of played that game in the wine shop, you'd still get it right.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? Why like the coffee? I mean, they say about the coffee here, it's not the best coffee in the world, but it's of the highest general standard wherever you go. So it's not about the peaks and the troughs. It's about having a really good high quality across the board. Same with the wine, I would suspect, from what you're saying. Why is that? Is that because the people would go absolutely crazy if those standards weren't kept up in Portugal?
I'm not certain. I'm not certain if that is the case, Carl. I think really it's what they're used to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're used to having pure tastes. So even the produce here, it's when you cook it, you do very little to it because you enjoy the pure taste of the natural produce.
Yep.
I think the grapes in the wines here are very similar. When you drink a wine, you can actually almost identify the different grapes in the wine. It's not disguised heavily with flavored oak barrels or smoke or anything like that. I think they keep to the natural taste of the grapes.
That's a nice angle. That probably is Pombal, right? Are there more fireworks going off there, Matty? Yes, there are, right? Another festa town at the moment, like many across the country. People partying in Pombal, causing the dogs to bark over there. Linda, in this last year, have you made any interesting discoveries on the booze front?
Yes, I got to like white wine very much.
Since I last saw you.
Yeah. I sort of like when we was tasting wines last year, when we was doing the wine club before, we tended to go more for the reds. And we did one or two whites. And I was quite pleased with the flavours that we got from them. And so now I've tried a lot more whites, and I just discovered I'm not very keen on Vino Verde. But
really?
Whites are really good. And I've been really, really pleased with the selection that's available. And, you know, sort of like, you can have sweet wines, dry wines. Never used to like dry wines at all, but I've had dry Portuguese wines and I've been quite pleased with the flavours and the taste.
So another kind of cultural shift there, brought about by wonderful Portugal and its lovely produce. Really liked what you said as well, Ginny, about the simplicity of flavours here. I think Frank and Rachel, certainly Frank, you'd agree with that, right? How things are kept simple, straightforward here, as somebody who cooks with produce. I didn't ask you though. We'll come to you in just a moment, Rachel and Frank, if we may. Gary, in this last year, what you found? More rosé.
To be trying to be a bit more discerning, because there's an awful lot of good wines out there, but there's some very, very, very good wines. And I mean, when we come to mark, I've had to restructure my marking because you could mark everything good. You know, you could just keep going on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And to explore, I mean, like Linda said, the white wines. I've had far more white wine than I've had before, and I'm not a white wine drinker, but it's as good as the red for me now. You know, it's even Stevens.
Okay, so I don't mean to sound patronising with that, but you've educated yourself basically, right? Through some steady research. By the sound of it,
Very steady.
Well, some days more steady than others.
Cheers, Garbo. Thank you for that. Pete, you were talking. Oh, sorry, Matty. Go on.
I said studying class by class.
Yes, absolutely. I think he's got a distinction in this last term. To Pete and Diane, then, Joseph's homemade red. Tell us more about
lovely. Yeah, that was awesome. And this year he's meant to have a really good harvest. We got our lawyer's wine the other day, and that was awesome. And I suppose we're really lucky because loads of people have got vineyards around us, so it means that you get the wine that they keep rather than the stuff they sell. So we love the wine. We do love the wine over here. It's great. And a lot of the wine we drink, we love the tradition in Portugal. Everyone brings a gift wherever you go. If you go to anyone's house, you always bring wine or fruit, or you usually end up looking like a greengrocer's afterwards. But the wine is amazing. But the one we've got into recently, just because it's hot, is sweet, like muscatels, haven't we really? So sweet wines with ice, and they're lovely in this sort of weather. We found that just beautiful. And thanks to Antonio, who's busy in the comments there. We've gone away from martinis to the local wines here, which are really good. So that's our sort of wine at the moment, I suppose. But I don't know. But we love that. I think the fact that in a weird way, the dictatorship meant that lots of grape varieties were kept in Portugal, whereas everyone else was getting French grapes, means that the grapes are quite individual here. So you get quite a different taste from Portuguese wines. What's a shame is that they're not really exported very well. Like Nubianette was saying, the wine where she is $40 a bottle, which is excessive. Over here, you'd struggle to pay, over €6 or €7 for a decent bottle of wine. And you could be extreme like Gary and go for something extremely expensive, but most of the time, most of the wines are lovely. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good. What we're trying tonight is a really nice wine, but I think Linda's probably right. We should probably try some whites during the summer as well. So it'd be really interesting to find out some more. Definitely.
Thank you, Pete. Thanks, Diane, as well on that. And lovely to hear how people's tastes are broadening, living here. Rachel and Frank. Frank, you mentioned that you moved to the Algarve. Kept that a secret. What have you discovered? What have you discovered down there?
You're so naughty, you. In the past year, two things have happened. First of all, as far as reds were concerned, we were always into Alentejo reds, but we got into what was that? Stubble red, and I thought that they were always like very limestoney. They were not very. The wine itself had like this funny aftertaste. But after we tried this specific wine, Vero, I went and got like a full case of it, and it's I'm doing a Neil Perkins with it. I'm gonna have it lay down. What did you say? I'm gonna lay it down, and I'm just like, all right, you lay that one down. So I'm gonna lay that down and see how it goes. But it's very beautiful. I've gotten into it. The second thing we've really gotten into in the past year is the Espumante. Espumante, really during the summertime, it's amazing. We take it to the beach, and even if you are to go to Pingo Doce, they're like most expensive Espumantes, like €4 or €5. And it's amazing, very high quality Espumante. So these two.
And also we got into Algarvian wines. And
from Portimão.
Yes, from all over the Algarve, and we buy these wines from Continente, Pingo Doce, as you would, but I never saw Algarve wines at Continente, Pingo Doce outside of the Algarve.
Yeah.
So, and for an area that is so hot all the time, the wines are very, very good.
They are. I remember posting a picture of this particular wine called Foral de Portimão. It's a brilliant white wine. So I forgot that one. We got into that as well.
Maybe then 1 month. I mean, we should say that season 2. This is wine 1, but we're going to go monthly instead of that hellish schedule that we had last time of every week. But maybe we can have an Algarve wine then that you choose. It would be great if you represent your region.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have to find one that you guys can find over there.
Okay, I think that bottle's finished in Alvasra now.
Yeah. I hope that's over to the tank. Rubbish bomb when I get to that.
This I think, we were looking for the second wine. I think it might. This got mentioned on the morning show today, didn't it, or recently? Moscatel. This is what Gilda mentioned, wasn't it, this morning?
It's lovely. We get all ours from Setable is brilliant for sweet wines.
Lidl.
It's lovely, and Lidl
go
do
with
it really well. Yeah.
All right, so I think that maybe, Alyssa, if you could select something that you think we stand a good chance of getting, maybe that's where we could go next time. And I think maybe we do a rotation of red speciality, which might be rosé or moscatel or liqueur of some sort, and then to white and back round again, and so we get a good coverage of the different types of wine here. Eshbimant, shout out from Lisa. Oh, I wish I could find some of that here in Maine. Love the thumbs up for the bubbles, Penny. Yes. We know what happens on the wine club when we drink bubbles. It's a slightly different atmosphere. The party gets started pretty early on. Drinking wine together weekly is hellish. Well, it was a hellish schedule. We loved it. We had great fun. But it was quite a schedule. Antonio, thank you for this. Pete was mentioning this, referring to this situation of the peculiarity of how Portugal has preserved and celebrated its own grapes. 60 years ago, says Antonio, there was a phrase, drinking wine feeds 1 million Portuguese. In those times, in the Estado Novo, in the dictatorship, some 30 or 40% of the population lived off farming. So wine production provided income for those families. Puts it into a particular perspective, that, doesn't it? Incredible historical perspective there. Come to you in a minute, Penny, with what, because you probably are the most adventurous drinker, if you don't mind me saying so, of us. Certainly the coolest and most adventurous drinker. But I'm going to go to Matty now, because my German stereotype, Matty, and I know you don't mind talking about German stereotypes, you give as good as you get. But my experience of German drinkers is that they have a very high regard for their own booze. There's going to be the stuff you keep in the freezer, the schnapps, and that's going to come out at the end of a meal. And the wonderful Liebfraumilch and the Blue Nun, those sorts of specialty German wines. Have your taste changed since you've been in Portugal?
Well, I'm not that long in Portugal yet. Okay. And I've grown up in a wine region in Germany. Yeah. And in my home area, wine is cheaper than water. So if you go to those wine fests and you ask for a wine with mineral water, like a scholle, we call it, the wine farmers they usually give you almost a full glass of wine and just a little bit of water, because water they have to pay for.
Brilliant. So that's what you grew up with. That's your wine culture, is it? As a young.
Yeah. I started harvesting wine when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
And it was continuously my August, September, October, upping up my pocket money, let's say.
Brilliant. And so, but the whole thing of Portuguese wine is a pleasure you've yet to fully experience by the sound of it.
Yeah, I think what about the simplicity of taste, I agree on that, and also, of course, the sun. I mean, Portugal has 300 days of sun, and that you can taste and prove in the produce, in the fruits, and in the wine.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for that input, Matty. Yes, and 300 days of sunshine. That's Brixham as well in Devon in the UK. Penny, our coolest and most adventurous drinker. What have you been up to in this last year? What's fashionable and trendy drinking wise in the UK at the moment?
Just lots of it as usual.
Volume. It's about volume. Right, okay.
Yeah. I think a few are getting switched on to quality as well as volume nowadays.
Well, that's nice.
I think listening to some of it, because as you know, my family hail from Italy. I think that a lot of European countries actually have excellent wines that don't get exported. So a lot is kept at home in the regions, and all the regional wines are usually excellent, and they do reflect the nature, the terroir in which they're grown. And I think what we get internationally, if you like, doesn't generally reflect necessarily what the quality of the wines when you're in the local region. If you go down the road and just buy from your local producer. But of course, as you know, we've been producing wine here, Carl.
Yes, in Devon for sure. Yeah.
Bubbly.
Yeah.
Well, bubbly.
Yes.
Here in Summer Lane Cottage.
Oh, your own. That's right. How's it been going? You've been turning the bottles, making proper champagne. Is that working?
I don't know. It's about I don't know, half a dozen of them blew up, which was fun. There, watching TV and suddenly all these explosions going off. I don't think my dogs will ever be the same again, but I don't know. We haven't finished. We haven't finalised, but it should be quite close, I think.
Wow. And you do turn them, do you? I mean, that's the old
Well,
method of
I
making
have to
champagne.
say, we have been a little bit lazy on the turning front. Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't know what it's going to be like.
It's
You're afraid to go in.
I think the official phrase is riddle the wine, which is weird.
Yes,
But yeah,
yes. But we don't have a proper riddling rack. My husband has been accused of riddling from time to time, but no, we don't have an official riddler here, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's a good job then. There is a situations vacant in Devon for a riddler. Penny's place. Okay, very good. Thanks, Penny. It's so good. It's so nice to have everyone back in the same room, as it were, virtually tonight. Let's go to some of those other comments. Thank you, Antonio F, for being here. We've got a few new faces, haven't we, and names, which is brilliant. People who've become friends through the morning show. Chris, how are you doing? Sorry about mentioning Brexit earlier on. Drinking Blue Nun tonight, the aforementioned. What do German people think about Blue Nun, Matty? Is it like the Matthias Rosé of Portugal in a way?
To be honest, I never heard of it.
Really? Oh, so that's what. Yeah, okay. So it's just an entirely created thing by a marketing department in Britain. Okay, fair enough. Sharon H, thanks for joining us. Benoit Sword, what are you drinking, Sharon? And Steve, join us, Steve, and tell us about your ginger experiment. Jilly's here. Ginny Menpesh Smith. Good evening to you, Jilly. What are you drinking? People aren't telling us, are they, what they're having at home tonight? The Austins appear to only have one bottle. Don't be
no, we've got one in reserve.
Yeah, of course. Don't have to worry about that. Nubianet with us, of course. I'm having a bit of a midday office tea. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate that. And how's the Grau Vashko Dão Red? I think we've all seen that, haven't we, in the shops here? Lisa, are you enjoying that? Look at mysterious Facebook user. Good evening. They've already been drinking, I think, as well. Yeah, hi, Frank and Rachel. See you soon. There, you're part of somebody's diary. And we are celebrating. Can you raise your glasses, please?
Yay, Lee.
Beautiful Eve, who was born last week. Eve.
Congratulations.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Congratulations, Lee.
Congratulations, Lee. Fantastic. Hope you're still here. He might be drunk already, of course. Sleep, possibly. Tom S. Now, we might have to give Tom S some help here. This is Tom S, who's partner, wife, not too keen necessarily on the idea of coming to Portugal. There was a fantastic picture where Tom had left about 9 tourist guides to Portugal, conveniently placed on a seat just in case his wife noticed that he might be interested in Portugal. What's your advice to Tom S here about maybe helping with that decision-making process for the partner? Can I go to you, Pete and Diane? What would you suggest to Tom S with that?
Come over and see.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the idea. Yeah, come over and try lots of local wines.
Scouting trip.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea.
Nice one. Go on, Pete.
Well, there's so many different places to go. It's amazing. We went to the coast a couple of days ago, and it was like 20 degrees different, and the regions are so different, and there's so much to see. It's amazing. Portugal's such a small country, but with such a variation in terms of wine and in terms of food and culture. It's just brilliant. Come over and see us.
Yeah, there you go, Tom. Replay that bit to your wife there. What about you, Matty? What would you suggest to Tom S as a strategy for getting the wife over?
Just take your partner to a vacation to Portugal, and see as much as you can in that period.
Yes.
Going from north to south to central to east to west, and check out everything of Portugal as much as you can, like Hank and Connie did in the past.
Yeah.
And see if there's a region that fits your needs, and then just say, here we go, and that's it.
May I say what your strategy was? Because we had quite an interesting conversation about your. Are you prepared to talk about that, or would you rather not?
Oh, sure, you can tell.
Yours was, I'm going. You can join me if you like, right? How's that going?
I told my girlfriend that I'm done with the Netherlands and I have to leave, and I'm going to Portugal. And she looked at me with a pale and empty face. And what about me? I said, yeah, you may come or you stay. It's your decision.
What a romantic. You are such a romantic fella. Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Well, you have to think of yourself first, and then of the ones not close to you.
Controversial.
If you do it the other way around, you suffer yourself. And she's welcome here if she wants to, but I'm not forcing her to join me.
Yes.
So.
Hey, Maria, way.
We go live to Lisbon. Why have you not got glasses in your hands in your home?
You know what? Margarita reminded me this evening. She was like, "You doing the wine club tonight?" I'm like, "Don't." So I've had to resort to the ale. Sorry.
Oh dear me! Come on now.
The first.
Is that a goblin? Is that a goblin you just held up?
That's a Caruja.
Caruja. Okay. All right.
Hey, Margarita.
Margarita, so lovely to see you on the screen here this evening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us on the screen. We're working out strategies for Tom.
I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks to Andrew and Margarita for having the homeless guy over in
Which homeless guy are we referring to? Okay. Right.
I have to recall a little story. I forgot to say I did ply Frank with several beers when he was here.
No.
On Tuesday, so much so that he actually tripped over the dog and fell on the floor.
And your dog is not so little that you can see it, right? But she's
dark. It was a dark carpet, you know.
Truth be told, Alfie, as sweet and beautiful as Alfie is a horse.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for looking after Frank. I think that's a strategy that you can duplicate around the country, Frank, on another beer tour. Around the country, sofas and dogs to trip over around the country. Okay, so the strategies for getting the wife or the husband over to Portugal. Rachel and Frank, do you have anything to add to that? For Tom S here,
leave.
Okay, simply. Okay, just okay.
Do exactly, Maddie. By the way, my kind of guy you are. Leave. Exactly. You did the right thing. You coming or not? You're going to Portugal. It's a great country. You don't want to come.
Whatever. Okay, fair enough. I think Steve will join us. Steve, the link is on there. Go on, Matty.
Frank, I'm pretty sure once my girlfriend comes over for a vacation, she probably has a hard time to leave.
Absolutely.
What do you mean? What is this vacation in inverted commas?
A visit.
You're not going to lock her in the basement, are you, Matty?
Please don't do that. We're still live, everybody. I've told my wife I'm moving to Portugal. Oh, here's Peter's input on this. Now, thank you for joining us, Peter, because I think you've said some earlier comments here. Oh, you like the Porto Seix, my local off sales. Local off sales. That is a phrase from the 1950s, Peter, I think, isn't it? A beer off. My local off sales stocks a few Portuguese wines. Porto Seix is great value wine. Oh, you are in the UK, so it is an offie over there, not on odd bins or anything like that. Corner shops with booze, or maybe even. Go on, mate.
I need to get your attention. Yeah, just to say that I think Henry and Nina will be over soon. He's just about finished. The camp.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, maybe we'll have some pictures as well of the camper van. Fantastic.
He's been converting a 6-wheeler army minibus into a camper van. He's just about done. So we'll
drink to that. We'll drink to that. Perfect. This is what Peter said. I've told my wife I'm moving to Portugal when I retire in 2 years' time. She's agreeable as long as we keep a house here. Fair enough. Yep. And Victoria's here. Hola, boa noite, wine lovers. Look at this. And no chapeau. Okay, we need a chapeau for. Yes, there we go. That's what we need.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Sharon enjoying. Look at this bit of vinho verde, Salero, Alvarinho in the spring. Gina and I had a great time exploring the Barrada and discovered the Espumante there as well. The great bubbles there. Fantastic. Peter is near Belfast. Okay, so do you know? You must know Deagle from the morning show, I suspect, Peter. Another Lucifer in Belfast over there as well. You might be able to start a Portuguese Appreciation Society in Belfast. Whoever we asked about moving to Portugal, how easy was it for the Austins, the first Austin party? coming to Portugal. Well, how did you guys get to be over here?
Well,
Easy decision?
We were a bit of a gamble, really. I mean, at heart, we are a couple of risk takers, and I think really an important factor for anybody moving out here. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody that I'm seeing on the screen at the moment is probably a bit of a gambler. You know, they're going to take a risk.
Yep.
If you're not the type of person that doesn't like a gamble, or doesn't like, you know, something a bit unfamiliar or new, you may struggle. So your kind of introduction perhaps might be a bit kind of slower, you know, like come over for a holiday and, you know, try it like that and see what you think. But I think if you've got the courage and of your convictions and to say, look, I'm just going to do this, a little bit like what Frank said, you know, I'm off. We were lucky because both of us said we're off. You know,
yeah, but you went in different directions.
And we arrived with like a 2-year-old, and how old was Ruby? About 9 months.
18 months.
18.
18
Sorry,
months.
18. What a great memory. So I mean, we really did it. So I just think you got to. If you like a gamble, do it. You won't be fed up with it. You won't feel that you went wrong.
Yep.
It's just taking the gamble.
Yes.
I don't know. What do you think, Jim?
Well said. Well said.
Well, it wasn't really, to be honest with you, our intention to stay in Portugal. We had a year's sabbatical and we decided that we'll try Portugal first. And if we didn't like Portugal, we'd go to Spain. And if we didn't like Spain, we'd go to France. And if we didn't like France, we'd go back to the UK. And that was the idea. And we arrived in São Martinho and never looked back.
Brilliant.
We never moved away from São Martinho for 15 years.
No, I mean, I always tell people that my car broke down, so I couldn't go anywhere. But that's a lie, actually.
That's what happened to me in São Martinho. That's a true story.
Yes.
With the bongo.
Yes, with the master bongo, indeed. Look at this. I'll come to you in a moment, Tammy and Steve. I think you need to turn your speaker down a little bit. We're getting a little bit of feedback from you earlier on. We'll check that out in just a moment. But look, we're cooking bacalhau in bras at home tonight. That's an interesting serving suggestion, isn't it? Codfish in the lingerie. And we're drinking a white, a Vinha Maria Ana. That sounds great as well, doesn't it? And Pete saying we've holidayed in Portugal for the last 15 years. Our third trip is in September. Okay, so it sounds like it's fine for you, Peter. You're going to keep the house there, and your missus will be happy about that. It's Tom S. I'm hoping we've helped this evening with the strategy. Let's go to Steve and let's go to Steve and Tammy and ask them about the ginger that they've been making at home. How are you guys?
Great. Good. Hey, Carl. Hey, everyone.
Hi,
we fell in love with ginger, you know, I think through the airport originally, and we said, you know what, we need to actually see if we can make this. I used to make wine as amateur-wise, so thought it would be fun to try and make ginger, and
it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
It's quite nice.
Surprise, surprise.
It's amazing.
There's a ginger festival in Alpedrinha. You've just missed it, but you'll be here for next year, I'm sure.
Oh,
we will. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. It's really good. Yeah. So I definitely recommend it. And in March, you've got cherry blossom and the whole mountains that we overlook are just pink. It's lovely. It's really nice.
Sounds great.
Yeah, you have to pop along, definitely.
We had to start off with frozen cherries this time around for, I guess, pie making. And
oh no, they have to be tart.
Well, I know, but
specific cherries.
Yeah, so they were, but they started out pretty. They started out kind of a mix of whatever cherries we could get, and they turned out great. Except for we couldn't get the with the Aguantera. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But,
Aguardente.
Yes. Yeah. We had to get
Aguardente's lovely.
So let's put the record straight though. The information, ginger has nothing to do with ginger, is it? It's a cherry liqueur essentially. Isn't it?
It's cherries, brandy liqueur of some sort.
Yeah.
And then cinnamon, and brown sugar and cloves.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong? That sounds like a
Right,
lovely.
exactly.
You have to get your cherries from Fundao, though. Honestly,
Of course you do. There's only one place, and like I've said to everybody, the street graffiti. You see the two little cherries in the stalk all over Portugal as a celebration of Fundao cherries. It's quite amazing. The graffiti backs up the love of cherries all over the country here. How do I get on? Says. Oh, I see. Okay, you need the link for doing that. Okay, let's do some scoring. It's time to score, everybody, and of course that's what you hope for when you've been drinking. Shall we go? We'll go to the Austin's house last of all. Let's start with Pete and Diane. Then are we doing the same thing, Gary? Out of 5, you say you're 5. Out of 5.
I'm going to go a 3 because not because it's bad. I think it's a really nice wine. It's lovely. But just because the homemade wine here is just awesome, I have to say. So where you get good ones is still.
I'm gonna go for 4.
3 and a 4. 3 and a 4 in Fundao there. Okay, thank you very much for that. It is tricky being the first, isn't it? I think, and the score might reflect that there. Let's. I don't know if Chris has been drinking this or not. And the score will reflect that there. You're going to have to sort out your microphone there, Chris, I think, a little bit. What's he doing? He looks got a very serious look on his face.
What's that?
What's he doing?
That looks like a beer.
That's some rose. That's some nuts.
Rosé. A rosé. Nice choice, Chris.
What's happening here?
He's muted himself.
Thank you.
What's he doing?
Do you know, Gilles is not going to like me. Oh, have I muted myself?
No, we can hear you, man. We can hear you.
Dear, oh dear. Oh my word. Okay. What a turn up. We're going to come back to you for some scoring in a minute. That is the favourite of Saddam Hussein, Jimi Hendrix, and Queen Elizabeth. So you're in good company. Well, some good company. That is the favourite of Saddam Hussein, Jimi Hendrix. Make that what you will. Okay, so carrying on with the scoring at 3 and a 4 from Pete and Diane, respectively. There, Matty Pombar, what do you make of this one tonight? The Cat's Paw, Casa da Passarella, out of 5, please, sir.
I would give it a 4.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah. Yes.
Direct and to the point. 4 out of 5. Rachel and Frank, please, out of 5.
I say I am 3.5 and 4 because it is a good wine, but for the price, I think it's not like it's too expensive. Based on that, okay, I'm going to say 4.
Okay. Can you just touch on that? Because I don't think Gary said what the price was. He did say it was a bit more upmarket, perhaps, than some of the wines we're buying here. What did it cost, Rachel?
Yes, we bought it at 50% discount. So I'm saying at full price, it's I would expect more.
Well, at full price, which is 12 euros.
Yeah.
This is like you have to have like a really high class wine for it to be 12, and even for 6 it needs to be like, you know, it's for this price it needs to be a different kind of smooth Alentejo. There's so many other wines that would do the business.
So I was saying that it is a nice wine, but for the price, I expected more, so I'm going to say 3.75.
Wow, 3.75. Would you concur, Frank?
I would say 3.
Oh my word! Okay.
Yeah, because I do like the wine. I think it's wine that's not as full as I like to drink, but it's obviously, as you drink all Portuguese wines, they're good wines. There's nothing called a bad wine in this country. But since our standards have, through the years, as we experience wine drinking over here, we've seen quality. And for me, this wine, based on the price, I've seen something much better stuff for $6. So if this wine was around 2.53, I would say, all right, for that price, it would be probably a 350 or 4. But no, it's a 3 for me. It's an easy drinking wine. It's all right, but it's not really something to write home about for me.
Oh my God, we've changed. We have changed so much since last year.
Yeah.
I think that's harsh. That is harsh. Okay, we're going to go to the Austins in just a minute because I think it's right. The purveyors, well, not the purveyors, but the selectors of the wine, I think should have the last go at this. I really like it, Gary. Thank you for introducing me to this. And you know how I give every wine 5 out of 5 in the hope that they might invite me to their vineyard and give me. It's not that. It isn't that on this occasion. After a year of barely drinking, well, not drinking any wine at all, I had a couple of glasses of fizz in that year, and I think 1 sip of red under terrible pressure somewhere, but really not drinking in any way recognizable in the year before that. And this after that absence, this is a really nice way back into red. It's not that some of the reds I've had recently, whilst getting back into it, have been harsh, and I don't know if I think I might have a different nose to a lot of people here. Do you remember I used to talk about things tasting like tartan or Werther's or leather and things like that? And I'm getting
you said a lot
I
of
still want to know how you know what leather tastes like.
You said a lot of leather. Let's stick to leather.
I love Linda's "Go Well with Chips" one. I thought that was fantastic. So.
What was that? Was that one of our reviews before?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's fair to say we've all changed a lot, judging by the scores that have come in so far. People are a bit harsher and a bit more discerning, possibly here. But I think you've kind of taken me back to the Dow, and I wasn't sure what the fuss was about why it's controversial to go to the Dow. And if the Dow is about a lighter, easier red, I'm all for it. And that's what, especially in the summertime, right? So for me, I'm going to give it. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to get a free box. Right? However, if that no, okay, I'm going to say 4.2. Because I want to show my love, but like we've said before, you've got to leave some headroom in there, haven't you, for other surprises to come along later. So I thank you for switching me on to the Dow region. I like this. I would buy it again, especially if it was on offer. And that is an interesting point about the price. It is expensive by our usual standards, isn't it? So I would be waiting for an offer on this, and I do like it.
Yeah.
And thank you for the introduction back to the Dow. 4.2. Over to the Austins.
Which one?
You all are
Austin.
I tell you, let's go to Linda first.
Yeah,
Linda's always a good one.
Okay.
Left to right.
Well, I do like the wine. It's very nice. But over the past year, I have tasted some wines that are better. So I think I'm going to give it 3.4. And that's because I do like the taste of it, but there are certain other wines that have got flavours that last longer, so it stays on your palate longer.
Yeah.
So I think as that sort of like the flavours fade quite quickly, I think 3.4.
Okay, thank you for that, Linda. That's great, and yeah, that's a really good point about the savoring the taste that's linger on the palate. This isn't doing that. This is light, isn't it, among reds? So thank you very much, Ginny.
I'm not a big fan of Dow wine. I never have been. But out of all the Dow wines I have tasted, this is probably one of the better ones, if I'm honest. I think I'm going to start off at 3.8, but it'll probably end up at 5 by the end of the evening because it does get better the longer you drink this. It really does.
Okay. Sorry, the giggling there, Ginny, is because of this comment that you see on the screen now. Does it need a drop of lemonade? Does it need a sangria? It's not that bad, is it? Come on. It's not that bad.
No.
No.
Third class, not that bad.
Yeah.
That's the index we forgot about, wasn't it? Yes, the 3 glass threshold has been reached, so that does definitely say something. So, Ginny, sorry, we there was too much giggling going on, and we lost the end of what you were saying. I do beg your
I can't remember.
Well, that's a lot. No, that's fine. That says a lot as well. Thank you. Did you say 3.8?
3.8, but as the evening goes on, it will probably end up at 5.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I agree. I would agree with you there. Let's go to the Terence Austin now for, I'm sure, a very erudite and Renaissance man review of said.
Okay, so no pressure there. Thanks for that one. Yeah, I think both the girls have been pretty near, and Frank, deep respect there. I think between you guys, you've pinned it really as a kind of like, it's a kind of nice, amenable, happy wine which you can drink with cheeses and red meats. It does get better. The quality of it does go up when it gets rid of its tannins, and I think it's pleasant. Whether I would go out my way to buy it every week or whatever, I probably wouldn't. But it's a nice experience, and I agree with you. The Dow wines are particularly hard going, I think. Because with me, I prefer something a bit more full and sweeter and heavier. So the Alentejo wines I like a great deal. But I think all in all, it's something that's drinkable, and it's fine.
Okay, damned possibly by faint praise there. I don't know. We will
I'm
come
going
back.
to give it my. Yeah, okay. I've been told to give you a score now. I was trying to avoid that. I say about 3.2. 3.2.
3.2. I'm just feeling like this is getting this is being punched around the ring. This one, isn't it? This evening. Let's, before we go to Gary, with this feels like the old wine club now, doesn't it? I think it was a little bit of a sticky start this evening. We weren't quite sure. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I feel like we've eased into it now, and we have found our groove again. Season 2, wine number 1. We'll go to a final score from Gary Austin, the man who selected the one tonight. But we've got to go to Penny to find out what your appraisal of your wine, the closest you're able to get, which was this one. Sorry to put that right in your face there. Zinhaga de Oro Reserva 2020 2020 there, and sleeve notes on the back. 13.5. What do you make of it out of 5, Penny, for you?
Oh dear, this is a hard one, because actually I'm quite enjoying it. For me, it's light. I don't like a big heavy red. I'm not sure if this is a macho thing, these men who like their big heavy reds. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go for a 4.2, simply because I want to leave lots of room for some decent whites and lots of fizz as we move along. And the reason why Wine Club got heavy, by the way, what's wrong with drinking once a week? It was the lock-ins afterwards.
It was, wasn't it? And the politics.
And the politics. We had some fun though. Yeah.
Yes. But I'm thinking now it would be even better, wouldn't it? With Boris and Keir Starmer. And okay, well, let's not go there. Let's not go there right now. Post Brexit. Okay. We're going to come back to a special Matthias Rosé review pod. Who's that?
Carl. If you bring Boris in, I will invite Angela.
Angela Rayner.
Merkel.
Okay. He's talking about his girlfriend.
Let's.
You cannot mention the B word, okay? And the B word ends both of them. You can't mention either of them at all.
Oh, don't get him started with his power.
We haven't had that for a while, have we?
I think you need to get back into the music industry, Carl. We can make a rave tune to that trigger alert right there.
That's what we'll call the track, Trigger Alert by the government. Yeah. Okay, Gary, it's over. Before we go to a final, an extraordinary and special Matthias Rosé review from Chris. Gary, what do you make of what's happened this evening and your selection here, my friend?
Well, before I go anything, I've just noticed that I reckon that Pete might have a bottle of spumant in the pool because just see some bubbles come up from behind him.
No, it's only yours. There you go.
Sorry, Pete. No,
Well spotted, well spotted.
I'll be serious. Be serious, right? I totally respect your marks, right? And I think you're right. We need to recalibrate our marking system because we're going over the top with things, right? Now, I'm going to think two ways of marking this. A 5 is the perfect wine. Yeah, there is no better. I would say a 4 is a very good wine.
Yeah.
A 3 is a medium wine. Anything below a 3 is starting to get a bit rough. You know, anything below a 2, you're going to clean your driveway with it, basically. So there's two ways of me to mark this: as a Dow and as a red wine. Yeah, as a whole red wine. As a Dow, I would give this a 4 because it's a good Dow. Yeah. As a normal red wine, probably about a 3.5. So I think that's fair because it's a good Dow and a nice sort of drinkable middle of the road red. That's the best way I can do it, really.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were going to go on there, and I've just taken a big mouthful of.
I was going to ask actually.
Right,
we haven't talked. It is the Food and Wine Club. Our man in the middle there. What we'd be eating with this? What we would pair with it?
Yeah, we used to talk about
it. I would do simple stuff. We have prosciutto, some salami, some black olives. Pretty much very, very simple stuff. The salami, I thought it would go very good with something that is a little bit spicy to fill in for the wine being a little bit.
That's trying really hard.
Kind of, if you may, a bit watered down.
Light.
So the thing is, yeah, it's that might work with it. But other than that, it's a very good drinking wine. You could drink it with the cheese. If I was to do cheese, I would do very heavy cheese with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
In my mind, I have a heavy cheese. Go, Matty. To you.
I was just thinking about since we are the Wine and Food Club, maybe for the next wine we can also suggest food with the wine to be prepared when we, do the show.
We always wanted to do this, but yeah, why not? And that brings us on to what are we drinking next? And I think it does have to be that Stubel Muscatel, doesn't it? I think we're going to have to find the exact particular brand that we're looking for that we will enjoy. But I suspect that's the one we're going to be going.
But Moscatel is sweet.
Yes.
What?
Well, tell him. You're the Portuguese one. Say
Muscatel. Remember, Muscatel is not a wine like this to be drinking. Muscatel is a sweet sampling wine. You're not going to go through a whole bottle, otherwise you'll be in hospital.
Exactly.
I'd watch that. But so are you suggesting not? Okay, well, as an alternative, I was given this by a neighbour, and this was a lovely Vinho Verde. Should we could go for a Vinho Verde? I'd be up for a Vinho Verde, actually.
Me too.
Sparkly white.
Me too.
Okay. Right. If I can't get this, I will find something.
What's MES?
They all know you.
Who's that?
Something of that.
Okay.
No.
Oh, hello.
Talking at the back of the class, Carl.
Yes. What's so funny at the back? If it's so funny, share it with everybody. No, I'm going to find, I think, a fizzy white. If nobody disagrees, and you're right, Gary. I think wine number 2, drinking Muscatel for the whole hour, could be disastrous, couldn't it? And Andrew and Margarita, go on.
Well, we were going to suggest another red. The one that I know we've bought off Frank and Rachel, which is Papa Figos.
Oh, Papa Figos. Didn't we do that before?
I don't know. Have you?
Anyway, we'll get back to you. I don't think we can do two of the same colour in a row.
Yeah,
We've got to go red, white, speciality. Red, white, speciality. I'm going to put my foot down there. But you maybe in 2 months' time, we'll go with your puppy.
I'm going to have another suggestion as well. Is I'm going to pre-score this one because I haven't drunk it, so I'm going to give it a 3, and I'll revise the score next month. I'm going to just give it a 3 at 60%.
That's
and then
very minority report of you. Very clever. Okay, come back to us on that. So let's go to the Matthias Rose review, if we might then, Chris. So what possessed you to do this evening?
Well, I was listening to the show, and both Rima and I were on our phones watching something else whilst I was listening to the show at the same time. And I said, I'm going to go to the off license and go and buy a bottle of wine. But then I looked at the clock, and it was 5 to 10, and I thought that's going to be too late. By the time I get back, you guys most probably would have all dropped off your perches and been this week. So I thought, well, we've only got one bottle of wine left because I haven't been drinking for nearly a year now. So I only broke my dry spell on Friday night to celebrate Lee's oncoming baby. And I know how Gilda doesn't like Matthias, and we had this in the house, so I thought, let me just open it and drink it. And to be honest with you, it is like a soft drink, but it does taste quite nice. So I'm quite happy to give it a 3.
And you did chill it, didn't you? It wasn't inside a larder.
It was brought to Portugal.
Yeah.
It came over on the plane.
Yeah.
And it stayed cool from the moment we've got it out of the hold. Even when it was 40 degrees, it hasn't been in the fridge. It's just been literally in the rack, and it stayed lovely and cold and chilled. So
that's amazing.
Luggage.
So I'm quite lucky. So it actually does taste quite nice. And literally, it's only maybe 2 glasses worth. So, but next time I come with a proper bottle of wine when I join the club, like Andy, I'm gonna pretend that I'm drinking what everyone else is drinking and give it a 3.
Pretend.
Good strategy. All right. So final word then. I think we are going to have a lock-in tonight, aren't we? I don't know where Pete and Diane went to. In fact, this often happens with Pete's signal, doesn't it? And we had him. I think he managed to hold up his end for a very long time this evening.
So I've heard he can do that.
He probably took a dive.
He probably did. Or he had to get out of the pool so that we didn't see the purple cloud behind him. Okay. Last word to you then. Going to the Austin house. Oh, thanks, Gary, for going to the trouble of selecting and telling the story. What are your concluding words before we have a little bit of a lock-in situation? Yes, well done, sir.
It's just good to be back. I mean, I tried to choose a middle of the road sort of wine. A red is not going to be popular in the heat. Again, I tried to challenge myself because I didn't like down wines. Found one that I do like, so I'm happy. Hope everybody else is.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Well done. Lisa, thank you for joining us. Everybody, Antonio F. may have a suggestion with red wine, some British wine, Mafra or Alentejano red. I think we want Antonio to join us one night, don't we? And teach us a thing or two about Portuguese red. Would you do that for us, Antonio? Or a specialty wine? Michael Bliss is here. Good evening, all. And last year, says Michael, amazing musician. Check him out on Spotify, please. Last year at this time, we were watching from the States. It's nice to drink with you all in Portugal. Yeah. That's such a lovely thing to hear. And same with Steve and Tammy. I think that this was your introduction, wasn't it, to this crazy community, Steve and Tammy, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, thank you for joining us this afternoon. It must be awful hanging out with a load of drunks when it's the afternoon in your time.
It's awesome.
All right. And Antonio F. Bread with very good. Oh, now you're talking. Because that's the only thing I've been watching whilst the inflation has been kicking in here, the price of butter. And I managed to get some butter under €2 today on offer at Aldi today, everybody, if you want to take advantage of that. Slasher from Peter Stewart. I think, Gary, you've got a final word?
Oh, I wasn't ready for that one. You've caught me on the hop thing. Yeah, continent butter is under €2, so gin sauce.
Wow.
Stronger than
Can't make a fist.
All right, folks, I'm going to leave you with this beautiful video of Portugal's produce while us lot get ready for a bit of a lock-in here. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again on the first.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
On the first Monday of September, which I believe is the 5th of September. Okay, ciao, ciao. Thanks, everybody.
Ciao, ciao.
Adios, ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
A dieta mediterrânica é hoje considerada a mais saudável e sustentável padrão alimentar do mundo. Baseada num estilo de vida de convivialidade e respeitador da biodiversidade e dos recursos naturais, reconhecida pela Unesco como Património Imaterial da Humanidade. Muito embora a dieta mediterrânica seja associada sobretudo ao sul do país, ela está ainda enraizada na cultura rural da região centro, nomeadamente no seu interior, dada a proximidade e influências do determinismo geográfico do sul. É disto testemunho a disseminação de uma das culturas mais emblemáticas da dieta mediterrânica, o olival, tão característico da paisagem desta região e que toma forma na qualidade única dos azeites aqui produzidos em olivais tradicionais e de montanha. Ao longo dos séculos, a movimentação dos diferentes povos do mundo e das suas culturas por toda a Península Ibérica, que através do comércio se fixaram nestes territórios de inigualável valor, deixaram uma marca indelével nesta cultura milenar que ainda hoje queremos e ousamos salvaguardar. Estas marcas estão bem presentes no território da região centro, que se estende ao longo do rio Mondego. Um rio fértil que é o berço de uma imensa biodiversidade e de riquezas naturais, suporte de inúmeras atividades ligadas a áreas tão diversas como a pesca, a gastronomia, a produção tradicional de sal ou o turismo. Aqui se desenvolveu um dinâmico sistema agro-silvopastoril, alicerçado nos imensos recursos naturais disponíveis na região. Nascendo nestas terras uma grande variedade de produtos hortofrutícolas. Aguçam-se quando falamos do que aqui brota. A maçã Bravos Molfe, que nasce nos pomares desta região, e a cereja do Fundão são exemplos emblemáticos e símbolos da qualidade e diversidade das frutas da região centro. Protegidas pelas serras do Caramulo, Montemuro, Bussaco e Estrela, as vinhas desta região têm características únicas, nascendo aqui alguns dos vinhos mais importantes do país.